Alright, so I made a quick change to this deck. Well, I wouldn't say quick. I put in 2 Dream of Juliet, took out the Deathcythe, and moved them to the side. Part of that reason is because some people run robes main, some people side into robes, and you can either blind side into a Blessed Holy Wolf or like a Dream of Juliet, or you can just have it main board. This way you don't have to blind side. This way in game 2 you still have an answer in case you didn't know what they side into. Uh, and so that's why I like having that main. It's just kind of that theory in deck building. Like if people are definitely going to side a card against you and you have an out to it, you might want to consider maining it. This way you don't have to just blindside into that card and potentially have a dead card. The thing about Dream Juliet is it does have some application. Being able to blink a resonator like a Lancelot might actually be relevant. Um, and in the worst case, it can draw a card. So it's not that bad. What we're looking to do here with this deck is actually turn 1 Elvish Priest, so we're actually going to mull pretty much everything but that, because this deck is aiming to accelerate. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, but we did hit turn 1 plays like Perceval and Guinevere. And so what we want to do here is set us up for Flame King Shout since we already have one in hand. When he mull? He mulled too. Okay. Yeah, we want to set ourselves up for a Flame King Shout on turn 3. And so if we can Perceval by turn 2 at least, that would be the best. If not, we may end up going turn 1 Guinevere and then sacking it off just to get additional draw since we have another Guinevere that we can play on turn 2. That plays a little curious. I usually would have just held that in hand so that way... Okay, well there's our turn 1 Elvish Priest. I probably would have held this in hand because I don't think playing Little Red without the Awakening is that great, but I don't know what his hand is, so he might have something spectacular. He is playing blue. I'm going to hang on to the Lev. I actually want to keep the Lev in my hand until I think I'm about to J-activate, or until I'm close to J-activating. Other possible turn plays was turn 1 Perceval, potentially going turn 2 Lancelot, or turn 1 Guinevere, but I think those are all inferior to Elvish Priest because accelerating on the draw puts you ahead on mana, or puts you ahead on stones, and that's really, really important to getting ahead in this game. And so here, I'm trying to figure out what his game plan is. I already know he plays a little red. I'm seeing a green-white stone, which is suggesting that he probably plays some sort of ramp, as well as stuff like Telefairy Tale. He's playing Gretel. So he could also be playing Hera. That's another reason why I didn't want to drop the Laevateinn. Now, if you do drop a Laevateinn and he plays Hera, you can actually banish it in response. You don't have to have a J-Ruler in play. You can just banish it because it doesn't say target J-Ruler you control gains imperishable. It says your J-Ruler gains imperishable. So it actually doesn't target. He's going to attack for 2. With blue, I don't think he actually has acceleration, so I'm going to go ahead and just block that. Or I should say with blue, he doesn't actually have like thunder or anything to really boost it up, unless he's going to like rapid growth that. With green blue, which I don't think he would. I don't think he would. Okay, so he is running a little matchstick girl. I think in general you probably do take that 2 damage. It's kind of a judgment call whether you think he has like a rapid growth or something in green blue. I don't think he would do that, or I don't think he would have it. I definitely would have killed the priest if you do have a rapid growth. Yeah, I would, because killing turn 1 priest keeps your opponent off of mana, which right now I guess we're going to have even mana, so to say, simply because he was able to accelerate with Gretel, so I'm kind of back on the back foot once again. We'll go ahead and play Lancelot. And we're going to go ahead and attack this thing. I want to keep his board clear resonators. I don't think just attacking him for the face right now is as good. I always have Sylvia later on, which will help me control the board a little bit and help me build a sort of escalating board state if possible. Because ideally what I'm trying to do here is build up a board state that uh, that will put on a lot of pressure. This way I can J-activate Sylvia. Generally, if you played a lot of games with Sylvia, you know that if you have to J-activate defensively to kill something on their board, um, then usually what happens is Sylvia ends up dying, or Sylvia just starts feeling really lackluster because you can't swing at their face. You're constantly having to use your J-ruler just to clear things on the board if possible, and you're liable to crackbacks. If you swing at the dude and then they have like two or three other dudes still in play, then they swing at Sylvia, and if you don't have a way to give them perishable, or if they drop a Deathcythe, then it's just not good for you. Also, because you J-activating Sylvia doesn't actually gain you tempo. Um, it does recover 3 stones if you're able to kill something, but you generally don't want to be in a position where you're forced to defensively use Sylvia. And so I aim to play for board control, as opposed to just swinging Lancelot at their face. This is more of a mid-rangey kind of deck than just like a pure aggro deck. Just want to try to get as much control as you can. If he's only tapping 1, then you know that he can't tell a fairy tale this turn. And he's also not going to do it with... I guess he is doing it with Awakening. He might be. He could also just be new to the game. Yeah, I'm not going to shark him. I don't like sharking in general. I mean, this is Lackey, it's casual, so if he wants to get his granny. I actually want him to get his granny. I'm just telling him for future reference. Which, by the way, if you are new to the game, yes, Awakenings do need to actually be paid upon cast. But what we're looking to set up here is a Flame King Shout, and he does have a board state that that does that a Flame King Shout. I'm trying to figure out what his game plan is. It does seem to be like a little match girl, like ramp into little match girl and control the game from there. So it's going to be important for me to actually get a Perceval, into play later on. This way I can protect, say, like a Lancelot or something. Yeah, that's pretty good too. Being able to just Guinevere, that's pretty decent. One thing with this deck is if I hit a Rukh egg, then I can actually cast it and then play Susan next turn, since I'm going to have total 4 mana, and that's where the love really helps here. So we might be looking at that play if we draw the Rukh egg. If not, then what we're going to be doing is just looking to Flame King Shout him here. I'm going to have to call Stone. There's not much else I can do with it. If we do Flame King Shout this, we can put a Guinevere into play. Yeah, and it will allow me to boost the Lance if need be to kill the Guinevere. But I don't know how much I like that play. So basically what I was thinking was tapping the Elvish Priest into these stones for Flame King Shout, put a Guinevere into play with Swiftness, swing with the Lancelot, and if he blocks with Guinevere, I could buff the Lancelot with my 1 remaining stone with Guinevere to give it +4/+4, and that'll kill the Guinevere. But if that's not what he does, if instead he doesn't block with Guinevere and he swings back to the Elvish Priest, then I lose a bit of tempo. So it's getting close to the point. I think I have to play this anyway. I played the Lev because I'm probably going to J-activate next turn. It'll allow me to J-activate and kill the Guinevere if necessary. I'm going to have to Flame King Shout his board, probably no matter what. just to get stuff off, and then I'll probably put in the Gwyn. I like keeping my Elvish Priest. I want to keep my Elvish Priest alive, so I can't really tap it this turn, I don't think. Yeah, I think this is the best play here. I could also just play both Percevals, or one Perceval and a Gwyn, or some number of Gwyns and Percevals. But I don't really like that play very much. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here. I don't think I attack here. I think what I do is I'm just going to take 12. I did clear his board. That's good. I'm pretty sure I'm just taking 12 here. And that's fine. His deck doesn't seem to be an aggro deck. It seems more like it's a deck that just wants to ramp into the little magic roll and gain control that way. So I am looking to stick a Percy at least next turn if I can. I can definitely kill the Guinevere with Sylvia if I just tap love before I recover. Then I deactivate, kill the Guinevere, recover my 3 heat rays, play probably a Perceval or something like that. All depends on what he's going to play, but these are lines I'm currently thinking right now. It might have been better to simply play Percevals and not Flame King Shout there, but I'm not certain of that line. So I don't know what his follow-up would be if I did do that. If I didn't play the Flame King Shout, he'd have a Gretel, a Little Red, and a Cheshire Cat in play. And if he was to hit like a Redstone and Bonsai attack me, I might have just died. Whereas here, if he, or not even Bonsai attack, he'd play like a Sprint of the Beast Lady and probably kill me. It also isn't good if he follows up with the Telefairy Tail, because then I don't want a Flame King Shot into that board state. So now I'm not going to actually be able to kill the Guinevere, unless I hit another Lev off of Laevateinn. And I'm okay with him playing Hera here, mostly because the Hera doesn't really give him value. It forces me to banish my Lev, but he basically played a 5/5 for 2. He clearly knew the game. Here I'm thinking about another possible line we could do. We have to call Stone next turn since there's no way to just deactivate, unless I draw a Lev specifically. And I'm also thinking I might just banish the Guinevere, just for additional filter. This way I might be able to hit the Lev, but I'm not sure. I want to see what his last play of this game is going to be. Yeah, we're going to take 12. That's just unfortunate, but we have to. He is down 2 cards though, so that's really nice. He probably has a Matchstick Girl in hand, so that could be a thing. Yeah, we're actually just going to block this. Yeah, if he's gonna do that, then I'm just not gonna block. I feel like I gave him a decent amount of time. Is he gonna remove the marker, or he could just be slow at Lackey? I don't know. No, I'm pretty sure. Oh, okay. He's gonna keep him a counter on. That's what he's doing. We drew. Well, now I can't actually banish the Guinevere because I need to actually just drop a Susan. Um, you know. So we're gonna have to call stone, but we'll play the Rukh egg. We'll play it on this one that would keep up our white stones. Go ahead and grab our Susanowo. It's a one of. And then we'll draw two, discard one. It would be nice to play the Flame King Shout here, but I don't think Flame King Shout is good anymore. He's down 2 cards, so I'm gonna go ahead and discard that. And then what I'm gonna have to do, most likely, go ahead and cast this thing to see what we can get here. I guess we just have to get a Lancelot, unfortunately. Which is decent, I guess. And I guess we just have to declare attack at him. Yeah. The reason for this is we're going to go ahead and play. We're going to play the Susanowo. We're going to kill Guiber. And then... oh, Lance has to attack first anyway, so... I like doing that line just to see what he does. Here we can finally get rid of the Guiver, and then we should be able to wipe his board, more or less, because we're going to kill the Snow White as well. If I didn't hit the Rukh, there actually would have sacked off the Gwyn and just dug. Because we do need an out to Guiver. We don't want to take multiple Guiver hits if we can avoid it. So here we're at a point where it is actually fine to deactivate. We've built up our board while controlling theirs. That's kind of what I mean with Sylvia. The game plan is not just to go straight for the face usually, but rather to try to control their board, because a lot of red cards do offer a decent amount of board control, like Flame King Shout. Even Lancelot, if you can buff Lancelot with like a rapid growth, you have a decent amount of board control, and then with that, that'll allow you to activate Sylvia once you have the board under control, and then Sylvia will actually seal the deal, which is what you're trying to do. It's kind of similar to what Bahamut's trying to do, except instead of going for the face, you actually go for board control. And then Sylvia is kind of there just to seal the game away. Or if necessary, if you are in an even board state, say you're not in a winning board state, say it's like exactly even, then what Sylvia lets you do is actually just J-activate and flip the board state in your favor. And that's something you can do. So Sylvia, it does offer a decent amount of utility. You do have to be careful about your life against other aggro decks, because a lot of them do pack Split Heaven and Earth, and so you have to watch how many stones you're calling, as well as just your general play. About how much damage you're taking or how much damage you're letting go through. You want to play it really heavily toward the board control side and try to utilize your increased tempo from stuff like Elvish Priest. And here what I should be able to do is actually swim with Lance and see if he blocks. Or I could just J-activate. If I J-activate and I kill the Hera, then I can swing with pretty much everything, and then drop. I guess we can only drop one Lancelot and one Percy. But I think it would be a good enough board state just to do that. Depends on what he plays as well. If he just plays like a... Okay. I was thinking he was going to play Telefairy Tale for a moment. If he did that, I would have to deactivate Sylvia and kill the Piper. I think in his case, I would have attacked Elvish Priest if I were him, or Elvish Priest or the Guinevere. Getting these off the field is really important. Controlling the board in general is really important, more than life a lot of times. Okay, his play is kind of surprising here. I think what I would do is deactivate, kill the Hera. I'll probably deactivate. I would deactivate with the Elvish Priest here. Yeah, that way I have an additional stone. Ugh. Actually, what I should have done is actually killed the Hera. Yeah, I should have just killed the Hera, and then I could swing at the Snow White, uh, and then actually float mana. So that might have been a better line. But I don't know. That line doesn't allow me to swing for 1,000 at his face, and since I have a Susanowo here, it might actually just be better to swing at his face. I think that might be the play, because if I attack him directly, I'm probably going to get around 2,200 damage. And that's probably better than just 12, and untapping more stones. But we'll see. Yeah. Now he can play Susan of his own, so I am going to want to grab a Regalia. Not a Regalia per se, but well, it depends. And it depends. If he was to play Susan of his own, I don't think he's going to play Susan of his own, but I'm probably going to want to grab something. Um, Something along the lines of, I think this is best, because if he does have a way to kill Susan, or not Susan, Sylvia, um, then this gives me an out to it. Getting the Regalia here is decent. So is getting another Perceval, but between these two options, if I get the Perceval, I actually like getting the Love better. And the reason why I like getting the Love better is it allows me to potentially close out the game, whereas getting a Perceval really wouldn't. Go ahead and play another Lancelot here. Like getting Perceval would allow me to get potentially another card in hand. But I like getting the Love there. Because I'll be able to deal lethal damage with the Love. Whereas if in some way he has an out to everything, then getting the other Percival wouldn't do it. Like if he was to call a stone, hit another green-white stone, and somehow sign in the future, like twice, then the other Percival wouldn't have done anything. And I actually like playing an Elvish Priest here. Go ahead and accelerate my mana. As opposed to playing another Guinevere. Although it's arguable, playing the other Gwyn actually lets me dig deeper if I don't like what I see. So it depends on. It just depends on what happens. It might have been better to play the Gwyn, just so I have two, and I can sack one off just to dig. the Elvish Priest does is it lets me sack off the other Elvish Priest to the Gwyn, since there's no other card in the field I want to actually sack off, um, without losing mana acceleration. So I guess I'm losing something either way. I'm losing something either to a Guinevere either way, just for additional draw. Um, so here he's probably looking to play. Well, his best out is actually just like two sign of the future, um, two sign of the future, and a way to kill my regalia. But I don't think he has it, so we'll see. We did take a Guiver hit, but sometimes that just happens. Like you can't really get around it if you don't really have an out to a Guiver immediately. Then then your best out is to just take your best bet is to just take the hit and try to set yourself up for your out. You can. I definitely would if I didn't try the Rukh. I definitely would just sack to the Guinevere in that play. Um, just sack the Guinevere and try to dig deeper. Here we do have a turn 1 priest, so I'm going to mull everything but that, because we are at this point we want to get turn 2 Lancelot. So turn 1 priest, and turn 2 Lance is what we're digging for. Although ideally we'd also have a rapid growth, but that line of play doesn't actually come up as often as I would hope for this deck. One cool thing this deck can do is after you play Lancelot, if the Lancelot's still alive, then next turn what you can do is you can swing Lancelot into something, like say their Lancelot, and then since you have 3 mana up, you can Fiethsing their Lancelot, so yours lives. I mean that's a line of play that is available to this deck. I think I understand his deck's game plan. It's play Guivers or I guess ramp into Guiver, and ramp into the little magic girl. And that's not a bad plan per se. It's just a little slow compared to the things that you can be doing in this game right now. If you're gonna ramp into something, I feel like you ramp into something super strong, super really hardcore. Like ramping into Sylvia is fine. Ramping in Level Dread is also really good. It's arguable whether I need the Blasting Waves or not, but if I remove the Blasting Waves, I feel like the only red I can run this deck are Rapid Growths and Elvish Priest, and I'd have to cut the Fiethsings, which, depending on how things go, that may end up happening. This way I'm less prone to split Heaven and Earth, but I don't feel like this deck loses to aggro really hard. Being able to run Fiethsing in an aggro shell means that you can swing into their stuff and keep your stuff alive. And Fiethsing also blocks stuff pretty well. Or I should say it blocks Lancelot's pretty well. And so it really is a deck that doesn't take that much damage before it can stabilize, because it can actually stabilize a lot earlier due to the acceleration. Go ahead and play another one of these. I didn't see a Flame King Shout in game 1, and we didn't sideboard, so I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to play it on me. He might play a Telefairy Tale, and that might be decent. But this sort of acceleration here lets us also deactivate Sylvia super early. The only problem with that is we don't have a white source. I don't like deactivating before we have a white source. Otherwise we just have dead Percevals in hand. Another line of play I could have done there is actually not attacked with Lance and just play an Elvish Priest and pass, and then play a Fiethsing at the end of his turn. The only issue with that is that usually a deck that plays Gretel, the reason why Gretel isn't played right now is it doesn't really do that much unless you're accelerating into like a clock like Alice's World or something. Then playing Gretel is just like a 2-mana 2/2 that got you a stone, but you can't just ramp for no reason. You have to hit ramp into like a threat or a clock. Like if you're playing Vlad, then playing Gretel is probably good there because you're accelerating your clock that way. And so if he was playing like accelerating a clock, like if he played Guinevere that turn, I probably would have just passed and left up Fiethsing. But he couldn't have played Guinevere that turn, I don't think, without like an Adam Brawley or something. Or if he doesn't go turn 1 Priest, I don't think he can. So if you're able to put on pressure before him, then that's generally a good thing to do. Otherwise, you go for board control. Because you want to win on the board first, and then basically cement your position using Sylvia, or have an even board state, and then flip that board state in your favor using Sylvia. Not sure why he didn't just awaken the little red for no reason. Like, I definitely would have done that. Okay, that's why. He's gonna matchstick the Guinevere. It's interesting. Okay, I see what he's actually trying to do. So he's trying to put on a really fast clock here with a swiftness Guinevere, which I admit is pretty good. He could actually take out one of my Elvish Priests here if he was to swing into it and then banish the matchstick. Because the matchstick is not actually that good after Guinevere already has swiftness. So that was like the perfect draw, not gonna lie. We're gonna call Stone. Go ahead and grab our Susanowo here. I don't like casting both of these. I like tapping one of them. Casting one of them lets me play Rukh in case I need something to defend. Because my Elvish Priest, I really don't like my Elvish Priest to just die, so Rukh is a good defender at that point. It allows me to grab Little Dread. No reason not to swing a Susan here. And then hitting the Lev also allows me to deactivate Sylvia if necessary to kill another Guinevere if he was to play it. I can also bet on him not thinking that I don't run 2 Susans, so he may or may not play another Guinevere, it just depends. This is generally why I run 1 Susan, because if you're a deck running Rukh Eggs and Lev and Guinevere's, you have enough sack outlets that you can actually grab the Susan when you need to. I probably wouldn't do it. I'd probably run 2 Susan if I didn't have Levs, Gwins, and Rukh Eggs. Yeah, I think you need all 3 of those to have a consistent Susan when you generally need it. Otherwise you have those awkward situations where you have a Rukh Egg in hand, but you have no Guinevere in hand, or Guinevere in play, I should say. Or you have a Guinevere and no Rukh Egg. You always have like a missing piece, and it's kind of awkward. So you name white on Little Red. Wonder if he's gonna play a Guinevere on me this turn. That could be interesting. If he does play Guinevere, I definitely sack off the Rukh Egg, steal it with Little Dread, or get a Little Dread, steal it, and then swing with it, and then sack it off to Laevateinn. I think that would be the play. I am winning head on the board, or at least I'm on the board state is in my favor right now. So at that point, it's just a matter of can we seal the deal with Sylvia? Do we potentially have lethal next turn? These sorts of questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and banish that. Go ahead and grab our little dread. And I'm gonna have a total of 6 mana next turn, assuming one of my Elvish Priest doesn't die. So I can still play the little dread. I just don't have a sack outlet to it. I guess that is important. I am kind of threatening lethal though with the little dread. Um, Not lethal per se. I guess close to lethal. I do have a Fiethsing in hand, so that's really helpful. Other cards I could have got, I guess, are like Gareth, another Lancelot. Another Lancelot wouldn't be too bad. I just don't think another Lancelot is what I want here. At this point, later on, you definitely want to start grabbing Little Dreads. Little Dread is one of the best cards the in the deck, simply because it gives you an insane amount of control later on. If you're able to put on pressure or control the board with just good red resonators, Little Dread will help seal the deal later. This guy's clearly new, so at some point, I don't know why. Every time I get on, I'm like, yeah, I feel like doing a video. I always play against someone who's like new to the game. I don't know why. I mean, I don't always record. I usually get on and I'm just like, okay, I feel like recording now, and then I record, and then it turns out like they're new or they're playing like a deck that is nowhere close to good. But for the purposes of showing how the deck works and like how you should be thinking and doing your lines, I feel like this is still a good demonstration, regardless of who I'm playing against. Obviously, if I'm playing against a better player, I have to consider more of what their lines are. But I feel like it doesn't really change with player. Regardless of who I'm playing against, I'm still asking myself the same questions. What is their game plan? What cards are they running? What cards have I seen? What do I need to play around? That is, what cards are commonly run that I need to play around? Those sorts of questions. What is my game plan? Is it faster than theirs? How should I approach this? That sort of thing. Okay. Lance has to swing first. We'll go ahead and attack with this. We are looking to potentially just J-activate here and maybe swing for game. But that's only assuming the Lance gets through, which I doubt it, so we'll have to do something else. Oh. I got a little caught up in what I was thinking for the turn. So, yeah, I do need to draw. Right. This does change the lines of play. I'm probably going to leave up. I'm going to play the Guinevere, and then leave up Fiethsing mana. And having Guinevere and the Little Dread lets me steal something next turn, and then sack it off to Gwyn. Okay, he already took the damage. Okay. Now we'll attack with this. Um, if he takes this, then I just win the game. Um, okay. Yeah, I didn't think he would take it. I probably would have just blocked the lance. He's taking 13 damage total. If he blocks the lance, he actually only takes 12 from the Susan. Go ahead and play one of these. Probably play one of these. So we have like 3 Elvish Priests up now. Then we'll call Stone. And there's the white source. The ideal white source that we want before we deactivate. It's always awkward if I deactivate and I don't have a white source. Or a green source for that matter. Because then I have to like call Stone or something. So the man base in this deck can be a little wonky at times. Depending on how many Elvish Priests you have or Fiethsings you have, you may be able to just deactivate anyway without proper Stone because you have a source. But then you're kind of constrained to keeping that source alive. And that's not the worst. Usually if you deactivate Sylvia, you're winning on board, or at least the board is even. So it's not terrible. You also have a clock, if you think about it. I mean, Sylvia has to connect, what, 4 times? Just to kill them, so it's not like it's the worst. The only thing about Sylvia is this deck actually isn't very good against Bahamut, simply because it's faster. It has a decent game against Blazer, although depending on what kind of Blazer they're playing, they could just, if they're playing like Incarnation, you're probably screwed. What I'm trying to do with this build, and just the decks I build in general, just show different kinds of archetypes, because the decks in this game, with a few exceptions, like say Grimm, like rulers that can actually build specifically and or build have specific builds because they have an ability to know what the J ruler has. Most of the decks in this game are based on archetypes, like general strategies in which you build your deck. Like this deck is basically it's a green deck, or it's a Fiethsing Lancelot deck. There aren't that many Fiethsing Lancelot decks, but it's possible to build a shell that's not Sylvia, that is green and red. Although you lose out a lot of consistency if you don't have Sylvia because your Firestones don't all tap for green. But there's like Incarnation. Just other builds in general for this game. And I feel like that's what most new players need to catch up on, or that's what they're learning over time, is that there are builds in this game, like specific builds, like archetype builds. And once they learn this, then it's just a matter of picking the right J ruler. Because a lot of these builds, like you can play Incarnation with Reflect, you can play it with Blazer. What else could you play? You can play it with Dark Alice. You can play these kinds of builds with a lot of different rulers, and they're very strong. I'd say most of the top tier builds, I don't like using tiers, but a lot of the competitive builds all look more or less similar. He's probably gonna play a little match girl. Oh, he's gonna play Edna. But as I was saying, yeah, most of the competitive builds in this game are limited to a select few archetypes, and you can run them with a lot of different rulers, with slight variations and changes depending on what the ruler does. Like if you have Dark Alice, obviously you run a Schrodinger, and you're looking to God's Art, stuff like that. Once newer players learn what these archetypes are, and then just sort of adapt them for different rulers, as opposed to picking a ruler and being like, okay, what kind of deck can I build with this ruler? There are a few exceptions, like I said, like Grimm obviously has a ruler ability no other ruler does. It's very unique, and so you'd actually like say what kind of fairy tale deck can I pull with Grimm. But with other rulers, you're more or less trying to find the archetype that fits. Um, I should have just flashed in the Fiethsing. I was too busy talking, which I made this mistake in my first Sylvia video too, which is kind of funny. Hmm. Um, so if I deactivate Kill that, no. Untap 3 stones, play a little Dread, give Susanowo swiftness. I think I just won the game. Yeah. So we're gonna tap these 3, and then I guess one source, one fire source to go ahead and deactivate Sylvia. Mm, 3 red. I wonder if what's the way he's not dead? There's no way he's not dead. Okay. Yeah, we attack here, and it should be game because we can just swing with Sylvia, or we can even just swing and pump with Guinevere, pump the Susanowo with Guinevere. But yeah, that's a line of play. It's kind of a line of play that's might not be directly obvious, but Little Dread, MVP of the deck, one of the best red resonators in the game, as long as the format's just not extremely fast. But yeah, super utility, a lot of things you can do with it. Yeah. And I hope you enjoyed the video, maybe learned some things about the way this game works, about how you should be thinking, your mindset, and hopefully you enjoyed the deck. So I'll catch you in a future video.